I'm Jeremy Grantham. I'm 86 years old and I've been studying financial markets and human behavior for over 50 years. I co-founded GMO, we manage over $100 billion, and I predicted the dot-com crash in 2000 and the housing crisis in 2008 before anyone else saw them coming. But here's what nobody talks about. In 1974, I watched my own investment account lose 60% of its value in 9 months because I kept buying things I thought were safe. I had a degree from Cambridge, I worked at the best firms, I thought I understood markets, and yet I hemorrhaged money because I was buying exactly what everyone else was buying at exactly the wrong time. I lost nearly everything. That mistake, that devastating humiliation of watching my wealth evaporate while I kept making the same purchasing decisions, taught me the most important lesson of my career. And today, I'm going to share that lesson with you because right now in 2026, I'm watching millions of people make the exact same mistakes I made 50 years ago. They're buying things that are destroying their financial future, and they don't even realize it. If this resonates with you, hit that like button right now. I'm not here to give you vague advice about being more careful with money. I'm here to tell you specifically what to stop buying immediately if you want any chance of building wealth this year. These aren't small things. These aren't just lattes and subscriptions. I'm talking about major financial decisions that are quietly bankrupting the middle class while making other people rich. And the worst part is that most of these things are marketed to you as investments, as smart purchases, as things successful people buy. They're not. They're wealth traps. And I've spent 5 decades watching people fall into them over and over again. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific categories of purchases you need to stop making right now in 2026. Not eventually, not when you feel like it, immediately. Each one is costing you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars you don't have. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why these purchases are destroying your financial future and what to do instead. This isn't theory. This is based on 50 years of watching how fortunes are built and destroyed. Let's begin with the uncomfortable truth most financial advisors won't tell you. Starting right now, if you're trying to build wealth, there are certain things you simply cannot afford to buy, no matter how normal they seem. No matter how many other people are buying them, no matter how much the advertising tells you that you deserve them. And the reason most people stay broke isn't because they don't make enough money. The average American household income is over $75,000 per year. That's more than enough to build significant wealth over time. The reason people stay broke is because they keep buying things that subtract value from their lives instead of adding it. They confuse spending with investing. They confuse consumption with building. They buy things that make them look successful instead of things that make them actually successful. I see this constantly. People making 6 figures who are completely broke because they're spending $95,000 a year on things that lose value the moment they buy them. And then, they wonder why they have no savings, no investments, no financial security. So let me be very clear about something. Everything I'm about to tell you, you're going to want to argue with. You're going to want to make excuses. You're going to want to tell me why your situation is different, why you need these things, why it's not fair to expect you to give them up. I understand that. I felt the same way in 1974 when someone finally told me the truth about my spending habits. But here's what I learned. You can either make excuses or you can make money. You cannot do both. The people who build wealth are the people who stop buying the things I'm about to list. The people who stay broke are the people who keep buying them while convincing themselves it's fine. So, which person are you going to be this year? Let me give you 3 reasons why stopping these purchases right now, in 2026, is more important than ever before. First, we're living in the most expensive debt environment in 40 years. Interest rates are higher than they've been since the early 1980s. Every dollar you borrow costs you more. Every purchase you finance is more expensive than it was 3 years ago. If you bought a $40,000 car with a loan in 2020, you might have paid 3% interest. If you buy that same car today, you're paying 8% or more. That means the same car now costs you an extra $7,000 in interest over the life of the loan. You're literally paying thousands of extra dollars for the exact same thing just because of timing. Second, inflation has permanently reset prices higher. The things you're buying today cost 20% to 40% more than they did 4 years ago. Your income probably didn't go up 40%. So you're getting less for your money, and you're going deeper into debt to get it. And third, we're heading into a period of market volatility that's going to punish people who are overextended. I've been saying this for 2 years. Asset prices are inflated, valuations are stretched, we're in a bubble in multiple markets simultaneously. And when that bubble pops, and it will pop, the people who are over-leveraged and overextended are going to get destroyed. The people who kept their expenses low and their savings high are going to be fine. They might even get rich buying assets from the people who are forced to sell. So this isn't just about being frugal. This is about survival. This is about being positioned correctly for what's coming. Now let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. Are you buying things because they genuinely improve your life, or because you're trying to signal status to other people? Are you spending money to solve real problems or to fill an emotional void? Because here's what I've noticed in 50 years of studying wealth. Poor people buy things to look rich. Rich people buy things to become richer. Poor people finance depreciating assets and call it success. Rich people buy appreciating assets and live below their means. If you're serious about building wealth this year, you need to know the difference. And you need to stop doing what broke people do. Let me ask you something honest. Does money bring you peace or anxiety? If you feel like you're trying to do the right thing but still living with financial insecurity, comment your specific struggle below and finish with, "But I will win this fight." Sometimes admitting it is the first step, and your comment might help others going through the same thing. So here's the list. 7 categories of purchases you need to stop making immediately if you want to build wealth in 2026. I'm going to be specific. I'm going to tell you exactly why each one is a trap and what to do instead. And I'm going to give you the numbers so you can see exactly how much these things are costing you. Category 1, new cars. Stop buying new cars. Immediately. I don't care what your income is. I don't care what your credit score is. I don't care if you think you deserve it because you work hard. A new car is one of the single worst financial decisions you can make, and most people make it multiple times in their lives. Here's why. A new car loses 20% to 30% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. If you buy a $45,000 vehicle today, it's worth $31,000 tomorrow. You just lost $14,000 in one day. You didn't get in an accident. You didn't do anything wrong. The car just became worth less because it's now used instead of new. Over the first 5 years, that car will lose approximately 60% of its value. So your $45,000 car will be worth about $18,000 in 5 years. You lost $27,000. And here's the thing, you probably didn't pay cash for it. You probably financed it. So let's say you put $5,000 down and financed $40,000 at 8% interest for 6 years. Your monthly payment is about $700. Over 6 years, you'll pay $5,400 total. But the car is only worth $15,000 at that point. You paid $5,400 for something worth $15,000. You lost $35,400. That's not even counting insurance, which is higher on a new car, or maintenance, or registration fees. And the worst part is this. Most people trade in that car after 5 or 6 years and do it all over again. They roll the negative equity into a new loan, they finance an even more expensive car, and they restart the cycle. I've watched people do this their entire lives. They're 65 years old. They've had car payments for 40 years straight, and they have nothing to show for it except a garage full of depreciated metal. Here's what you should do instead. Buy a 3 to 5-year-old car with cash. Let someone else take the depreciation hit. A car that's sold for $45,000 new is selling for $22,000 used after 4 years. It's the exact same car. Same features, same reliability, same transportation. But you're paying half the price. And if you buy it with cash, you have no monthly payment, lower insurance, and full ownership. You can drive that car for another 10 years. And here's the beautiful part. If you were going to spend $700 per month on a car payment, and you don't have to because you bought used with cash, that's $700 per month, you can invest. Over 10 years at a conservative 8% return, that $700 per month becomes $130,000. You just turned a car payment into a six-figure investment account. That's the difference between thinking like a poor person and thinking like someone building wealth. Category 2. Oversized houses you can't afford. This one is brutal because everyone tells you that buying a house is a good investment, and it can be, but not the way most people do it. If you're buying the biggest house you can qualify for, you're not investing. You're setting yourself up for decades of financial stress. Here's what happens. You get approved for a $400,000 mortgage. The bank says you can afford it based on your income, so you buy a house at the top of your budget. Your monthly payment is $2,800 plus property taxes of $400 plus insurance of $200 plus maintenance that averages $300 per month. That's $3,700 per month going to your house. On a $75,000 annual income, that's over 50% of your take-home pay. You're house poor. You have no money left for investing, for emergencies, for anything else. Every extra dollar goes to that house. And here's the thing nobody tells you. A house is not an investment unless it produces income. If you live in it, it's a liability. It costs you money every single month. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, HOA fees. These costs never stop. I've seen people spend 30 years paying off a house, and when they finally own it, they realize they paid $800,000 for a house worth $400,000. And they still have to pay $15,000 per year in taxes, insurance, and maintenance just to keep it. Meanwhile, they never invested in stocks, never built a business, never created real wealth. They just fed money into a house for 3 decades. Here's what you should do instead. Buy a house that costs no more than twice your annual income. If you make $75,000, buy a $150,000 house. I know that sounds impossible in expensive markets. So here's the hard truth. If you can't buy a house at that ratio where you live, you have 2 choices. Move to where you can afford it, or keep renting and invest the difference. Because a $150,000 house with a $30,000 down payment means a mortgage of $120,000. At current rates, that's about $1,000 per month. Add another $500 for taxes, insurance, and maintenance. You're at $2,500 per month. On a $75,000 income, that's reasonable. You still have money left to invest, to save, to build wealth. And here's the beautiful part. If you save the difference between what you're paying and what you could have paid, you're building real wealth. If you were going to pay $3,700 for that big house, and you're only paying $1,500 for the smaller house, that's $2,200 per month you can invest. Over 20 years at 8% return, that becomes $1.2 million. You just turned housing discipline into millionaire status. Category 3. Luxury items on payment plans. This is the new version of keeping up with the Joneses, and it's destroying people. I'm talking about financing furniture, financing electronics, financing appliances, financing anything that isn't a house or a carefully chosen used car. Buy now? Pay later has made it easier than ever to go broke in style. Here's how this works. You want a new couch. It costs $3,000. You don't have $3,000. But the furniture store offers you 0% financing for 24 months. Only $125 per month. That sounds affordable, so you take it. Then you want a new TV. $500 on a store credit card, 0% for 18 months, only $83 per month. Then you need a new washer and dryer. $2,000 on another payment plan, $90 per month. Then a new mattress, a new dining set, a new this, a new that. Before you know it, you have $600 per month in payments for furniture and appliances, things that have zero resale value, things that don't generate income, things that will be worth 10% of what you paid by the time you finish paying for them. And here's the trap. These 0% financing deals seem free, but they're not. If you miss one payment, if you're late one time, the interest rate jumps to 25% or 30% retroactively. Suddenly you owe $4,000 on a $3,000 couch. And even if you never miss a payment, you've locked yourself into $600 per month in obligations for stuff you could have lived without. Stuff you could have bought used for a fraction of the price. Stuff that contributes nothing to your net worth. Here's what you should do instead. If you can't buy it with cash, you can't afford it. Period. The only exceptions are a house and maybe a used car if you absolutely need transportation for work. Everything else, if you don't have the money, you wait, you save, you buy it when you can pay cash. And here's what's amazing. When you commit to only buying things with cash, you buy 80% less stuff. Because when it's your actual money leaving your account, you think twice. You ask yourself if you really need it. You look for cheaper alternatives. You buy used instead of new. I've watched people eliminate $800 per month in payment plan obligations just by committing to this one rule. That's $9,600 per year they get back. And they don't even miss the stuff they didn't buy. Subscribe to this channel if you want weekly strategies based on 50 years of real market experience. No hype, just what actually works. Category 4. Eating out and food delivery multiple times per week. This one seems small, but it's not. Food is one of the biggest budget destroyers I see in middle-income households, and most people have no idea how much they're actually spending. Let me give you the numbers. The average American household spends $300 per month eating out. That's the average. If you're ordering food delivery, going to restaurants 3 or 4 times per week, you're spending way more. Probably $600 to $800 per month. Let's say you spend $700 per month on restaurants and delivery. That's $400 per year. Now let's compare that to cooking at home. A family can eat well, I mean really well, on $600 per month in groceries. Good meat, fresh vegetables, quality ingredients. That's $7,200 per year. The difference is $2,200 per year and you're eating better food. But here's the real cost. That $700 per month you're spending on eating out could be invested. At 8% return over 30 years, that monthly $700 becomes $1 million. You're trading $1 million in retirement money for the convenience of not cooking. Now, I'm not telling you to never eat out. I'm telling you to stop doing it mindlessly multiple times per week like it doesn't matter. Because it does matter. Every $50 dinner is $50 that didn't go into your investment account. Here's what you should do instead. Cook at home 6 days per week. Make it a skill. Learn 10 simple meals you can cook quickly. Batch cook on Sundays so you have food ready. And limit eating out to once per week as a planned treat, not a default because you're tired. If you do this, you'll cut your food spending in half and you won't feel deprived because you're still eating well. You're just eating at home. Category 5. Brand new phones every year or two. I see this constantly. People upgrade their phones every time a new model comes out. They're paying $1,200 to $1,500 for a phone they don't need to replace a phone that works perfectly fine. And they finance it through their carrier so they don't even feel the pain of the purchase. Here's the reality. A smartphone from 3 years ago does everything you need. Takes pictures, sends messages, browses the internet, runs apps. The new model has a slightly better camera and a faster processor you'll never notice in daily use. That's it. But you're paying $1,500 for those marginal improvements. And if you do this every 2 years, you're spending $750 per year on phones forever. Here's what you should do instead. Buy a phone and keep it for 5 years. Buy a model that's 1 or 2 generations old and pay cash. You can get an iPhone that's 2 years old for $400 instead of fighting $200 for the newest one. It works exactly the same for what you actually use it for, And when you keep it for 5 years, your annual phone cost is $80 instead of $750. You just saved $670 per year. Over 30 years invested at 8%, that's $82,000. You traded $82,000 in wealth for the status of having the newest phone every 2 years. Category 6, subscriptions you don't use or need. This is death by 1,000 cuts. $15 here, $10 there, $20 somewhere else. Individually, they seem harmless. Collectively, they're bleeding you dry. Streaming services, music apps, cloud storage, meal kits, subscription boxes, gym memberships you don't use, software you forgot about. I've seen people spend $300 to $500 per month on subscriptions. That's $3,600 to $6,000 per year on things they could mostly live without. Here's what you should do right now, today. List every single subscription you have. Look at your bank statement and credit card statement for the last 3 months. Find every recurring charge. Then cancel half of them. Keep the ones you actually use multiple times per week. Cancel everything else. If you miss it, you can always resubscribe, but you won't miss most of it. If you cut $200 per month in subscriptions, that's $2,400 per year back in your pocket. Invested over 25 years at 8%, that becomes $182,000. Share this with one person who needs to see it. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is give them the right information at the right time. Category 7, college education you're financing with massive loans. This is the most controversial one, but I have to say it. Stop borrowing 6 figures for college degrees that don't lead to high-income careers. I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm saying don't borrow $100,000 to get a degree in something that pays $40,000 per year. The math doesn't work. If you borrow $100,000 at 6% interest for a degree, you'll pay back about $133,000 over 10 years. That's $100 per month. If your degree gets you a job paying $40,000 per year, your take-home pay is about $2,700 per month. After loan payments, you have $1,600 left. You can't afford rent, food, transportation, and everything else on $1,600 per month. You're broke for a decade. Here's what you should do instead. If you're going to college, go to community college for 2 years, then transfer to a state school. Total cost, $40,000 instead of $150,000. Or go into a trade. Electricians, plumbers, HVAC techs make $60,000 to $90,000 per year with no student debt. They start earning at 20 instead of 25. Or go to a college that offers you scholarships so you graduate with minimal debt. But stop borrowing massive amounts for degrees that don't pay. I've watched too many people ruin their 20s and 30s because they're buried under student loans for degrees that didn't deliver. So those are the 7 categories. New cars, oversized houses, luxury items on payment plans, eating out constantly, new phones every year, unused subscriptions, and overpriced college degrees. If you stop buying these things, if you make different choices in these 7 areas, you will build wealth. It's not optional. It's mathematical. But here's what I know is going to happen. Most people watching this will nod along and then change nothing. They'll come up with reasons why their situation is different. Why they need the new car because their job requires it. Why they need the big house because they have kids. Why they deserve to eat out because they work hard. I've heard every excuse for 50 years. And every person making those excuses is still broke. The people who get rich are the people who stop making excuses and start making different choices. So here's my question for you. Are you going to be the person who makes excuses or the person who builds wealth? Because you can't be both. If you're serious about changing your financial life, you start today. You pick one category from this list and you fix it this month. You sell the car and buy used. You cancel the subscriptions. You stop eating out. You make one change. And then next month you make another change. And the month after that, another. And in 12 months, you're living completely differently and your bank account shows it. This isn't complicated. You just have to stop buying the things that keep you poor and start doing the things that make you rich. I'm 86 years old. I've been doing this for half a century, and I'm telling you with absolute certainty, if you stop buying these 7 categories of things, your financial life will transform. But only if you actually do it, not think about it, not plan to do it someday. Do it now. Drop a comment telling me which category you're fixing first. Subscribe so we keep working on this together. And if this helped you, hit like and share it with someone who needs it. I'll see you in the next video.